In at number 5, we have the Jersey Devil. Known to exist in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, the Jersey Devil is often described as having hooves, a snake's tail, bat wings, and a head that looks something like a horse. There have been many sightings throughout history of the Jersey Devil, with the cryptid dating all the way back to the 1700s and continuing on until the past decade. It is said that the Jersey Devil often glows and can breathe fire or poison water with its breath. Throughout folklore, it is also known as the Leeds Devil, with local residents tracing its origins to a woman named Mother Leeds, the mistress of a British soldier who was suspected of being a witch. When she gave birth to her 13th child, she cursed it. The baby was born as a hairy creature and soon began terrorizing the town and its people, even eating children. Now, like I said, there have been many sightings throughout history. On July 27, 1937, an unknown animal with red eyes seen by residents of Downingtown, Pennsylvania, was compared to the Jersey Devil by a reporter for the Pennsylvania Bulletin of July 28, 1937. In 1951, a group of Gibbstown, New Jersey boys claimed to have seen a monster matching the devil's description, and claims of a corpse matching the Jersey Devil's description arose in 1957. Now, many choose to ignore the Jersey Devil, with it thought to be an undiscovered species of animal, generally classified as living pterodactyl. Coming in at number 4, dire wolf. The dire wolf was an extinct species of the genus Canis, and is one of the most famous prehistoric carnivorous in North America, along with its extinct competitor, the saber-toothed cat. Like I said, these creatures are extinct, however, one user from Utah has a different story. I quote, "Not sure what it was called, but I listened to a podcast about cryptids, and it talked about basically a modern day direwolf/human combo that lived on a ranch somewhere in Utah. A family moved into an old ranch and noticed that all the windows and doors were tightly secured and that there had been wolf sightings years ago in that area. The new owner didn't think much of it until they found some dead cows with holes in them. No blood whatsoever. Then the owner saw what looked like a wolf from far away. The wolf creature basically ended up running up to him and he shoots it. The gun does no visible harm though, even though it made a hole in its shoulder. Then the wolf creature casually walks away. The guy ends up looking for one of his missing cows and finds it dead. He also finds a calf getting attacked by the thing and being carried off. If I remember correctly, he tries chasing it down and it outruns him on his horse. The guy doesn't know what he's up against, so he tells a local wildlife expert who shows him different species of wolves. They pass a picture of the creature and the wildlife expert tells him that it's a dire wolf and it hasn't been alive for thousands of years. That is absolutely insane. I'm a strong believer in the dire wolf and have a sneaking suspicion they are still lurking around here. Hunting somewhere, maybe hunting you. Coming in at number 3, we have Mongolian death worm. The Mongolian death worm, also known as its native name, Olgoi korakoi, meaning intestine worm, due to its red blood-like color and size, which is the size of an intestine. It has often been described as around 2 to 7 feet long and possesses the ability to spit out a corrosive yellow saliva and generate blasts of electricity. Mongolian nomads believe the giant worm covers its prey with an acidic substance that turns everything a corroded yellow color. Legend has it that as a creature begins to attack, it raises half of its body out of the sand and starts to inflate until it explodes, releasing the lethal poison all over the victim. It is said that the livestock and humans are its main prey, and because Mongolia had been under Soviet control until 1990, there is very little known about the cryptid. Nobody is entirely sure what the worm actually is, with some experts claiming it to be fake due to the Gobi Desert being too hot an area for annelids to survive. Some have suggested it might be a skink, but they are said to have little legs and scaly skin, whereas witness accounts have specified that the worm is limbless and smooth-bodied. In 2005, an expedition from the Center for Fortean Zoology crossed 1,000 miles of the Gobi on the track of the death worm. They concluded it was likely a large unknown type of worm lizard, and the powers that were attributed to it were apocryphal. Coming in at number 2, we have Ahul. The Ahul, or the Athol, is a winged cryptid often portrayed as a giant bat or even a flying primate depending on the variation. Tales tell of it living in the deepest parts of the jungle of Java and can be found across most of Indonesia. Subspecies can be found on the neighboring islands of New Guinea in the form the ropen, a presumed cousin to the ahul. The ropen aptly translates to demon flying and is also said to be a big bat, or more commonly a pterosaur. It is said to produce a light, possibly to attract fish. The ropen is said to have a long snout, large wings, and a long thin crest. It has a distinct face that has features of both a chimpanzee's and a bat's, large dark eyes, red-skinned wings, wings, large claws on its forearms, and is covered in grey fur. It is also noted as having a wingspan of 18 to 28 feet and is said to be the largest bat known to mankind. Now back to the ahuls. They are said to be covered in a thick brown or black fur much like fruit bats, but unlike bats have long, powerful legs and claws and are supposedly capable of pouncing on and snatching up living prey, including humans. Sightings of these winged beasts are often dismissed simply as mistaken glimpses of owls, eagles, and other large birds of prey that inhabit the rainforests. However, many sources can confirm that the beast does in fact exist, and may even be an isolated and undiscovered species. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Black Shuck. Black Shuck, or Old Shuck, or simply Shuck, is the name given to an unknown creature which is said to roam in East Anglia. It is one of the many ghostly black dogs recorded across the British Isles. The Black Shuck is often recorded as an omen of death, and some occasions a more companionable animal. Although it is classified as a cryptid, there have been various sightings and reports of the animal's appearance throughout the United Kingdom. For centuries throughout England, many have told tales of large black dogs with malevolent flaming eyes are often depicted as red or sometimes green. According to reports, the beast varies in size and stature from that of simply a large dog to being the size of a calf or even a horse. Other accounts report that Black Shuck as floating on a carpet of mist, or even appearing headless. According to folklore, the Shuck haunts East Anglia, primarily coastline, graveyard, side roads, body of water, and dark forest. W.A. Dutt, in his 1901 Highways and Byways in East Anglia, describes the creature, I quote, "He takes the form of a huge black dog and prowls along the dark lanes and lonesome field footpaths where, although his howling makes the hearer's blood run cold, his footfalls make no sound. You may know him at once, should you see him, by his fiery eye. He has but one, and like the Cyclops, is in the middle of his head. But such an encounter might bring you the worst of luck. It is even said that to meet him is to be warned that your death will occur before the end of the year." As I stated before, the Black Shuck has been reported many times, with one of the most notable reports being the appearance at the churches of Bungay and Blyberg in Suffolk. On August 4th, 1957, Black Shuck was said to have burst in through the church doors to a clap of thunder. He ran up to the nave, past a large congregation, killing a man and a boy and causing the church steeple to collapse through the roof. As the dog left, he left scorch marks on the door, which can be seen at the church even to this day.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Mothman. The legend of the Mothman is a really freaking eerie one. So the Mothman originates from West Virginia folklore. Apparently, it's a large 10-foot tall gray creature with red glowing eyes and wings, and has the ability to fly over 100 miles per hour, so he's pretty damn fast. This creature has been spotted on a number of occasions. In particular, it's believed that once you see him, bad things are going to happen, so he's kinda like an omen. The first report of this creature was on November 15th, 1966. On this night, two sets of young couples drove out to Lover's Lane to get frisky in their cars. It was Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallet. That's when one of the couples noticed a massive creature with red glowing eyes watching them from afar. The couple, Roger and Linda, freaked out and sped on out of there, but the Mothman followed their car and tried to attack them. Thankfully, they made it out alright, but they were hella spooked and reported their encounter to the police. During the next couple of days, a number of different people reported similar encounters to the police as well. Like two volunteer firemen claimed they saw a large bird with red eyes. Then a contractor named Newell Partridge was out in a field at night when he saw the creature in the distance. He shined his light in his eyes and he said they glowed like bicycle reflectors. He then went on to blame this creature for the disappearance of his German Shepherd. So people all around town were hella freaked out. The scariest sighting would have to be in 1967, around the time the Silver Bridge collapsed. Apparently, people who saw the Mothman then went on to receive premonitions of the bridge collapsing and experienced terrible nightmares. And on the day that the bridge actually did collapse, a number of witnesses claimed that they saw the Mothman perched nearby just watching. That's creepy. As long as he doesn't come to Canada though, I'm good.
Coming in at number 4, we have Yowie. Yowie, also known as Yehu, Yori, Hairy Man, or Yahoo, is a fanged humanoid creature or great ape featured in Aboriginal mythology along with Australian raptors or Burrinjaw. It is considered to be the Australian Bigfoot and contains many primate-like features, indicating that it is an undiscovered species of great ape. Yowie is described as being one of the most aggressive Sasquatch species and has been reported ripping the heads off of kangaroos and dogs. In the past, it has been described to be around 7 to 9 feet tall, with a large red red mouth and talon-like claws according to Aboriginal legends. It is also noted as having 2 large fang-like canines which distinguish the yowie from the other Bigfoot species. There are around 140 placental mammals known to exist in Australia, most belonging to the order Chiroptera and Rodentia. Some cryptozoologists theorize that the yowie could be some form of bipedal marsupial, such as a descendant of the New Guinea Hulutherium.
In our third spot, we have the Shuck. The Shuck is a ghostly black dog from East England legends. Don't be fooled though, this dog is anything but cute, cuddly, and friendly. It's got a thirst for blood. Those who have seen it describes it as a big black hound. Some even say it has red or green glowing eyes. Now this ghost dog is said to terrorize rural towns and villages across the country. The most famous as well as most horrifying encounter would be from 1577. One night a bunch of villagers had to seek shelter in a church during a huge thunderstorm. As they were huddled in there, a big black dog burst through the church door and attacked a man and his son. It also knocked down one of the church's pillars, so a part of it actually collapsed, and then ran out of the church, and as it did, it apparently left scorch marks on the wood of the church floor and door. Those marks are apparently still there today. People were horrified by this encounter, and that's how the legend of the Shuck came to life. In our second spot, we have the Green Beach Monster. This is apparently a very strong and scaly, slimy beast that hunts for prey in Ohio rivers. The first encounter happened to a woman named Miss Johnson and her friend. It was August 21st of 1955, and the 2 ladies were enjoying a swim in a river. One of the ladies was in an inflatable tube, just, relaxing, while Mrs. Johnson swam by. That's when all of a sudden she was dragged underwater. She struggled to free herself, and thankfully she managed to. She resurfaced only to be dragged under again. Thankfully, Miss Johnson managed to free herself once again. She did so by kicking this thing. According to Miss Johnson, the hand that grabbed her was large and hairy and had sharp nails or claws. She also knew that this beast was large and strong just based on the way it grabbed her and pulled her down and held her down. In fact, Miss Johnson was left with multiple bruises and wounds on her leg from this creature. Without this, people probably would have thought that she was just lying. But she had a full-on claw print bruise on her leg. Obviously, the 2 reported the encounter to the police, and that's when they got a visit from an Air Force colonel. He interviewed them both and took very detailed notes. Before he left, he warned the 2 women to never mention this encounter ever again. And I mean, that sounds hella suspicious. As if the government had captured this cryptid and then it escaped and they didn't want people to know. So anyway, they should get one of those memory erasers from Men in Black. You know what I'm talking about, the little ksh. And in a number 1 spot today, we have the Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is a very famous cryptid said to live in the Pine Barrens region of New Jersey. Legend goes that in 1735, a mother gave birth to a child that she did not want. Her and her husband couldn't afford to raise another child. Apparently, she had 12 children already, and after she found out she was pregnant again, she cursed the child and said it was a devil child. In fact, one version of the story, apparently she offered her unborn son to the devil. Anyways, she ended up giving birth to the child and all was well and normal. But as days went by, the kid started to transition into this weird creature. It grew hooves, it had a goat's head and bat wings and a forked tail. It would growl and scream. In another version, the mother was actually apparently a witch and the child's father was the devil himself. And that was the creature that they gave birth to. Either way, it's creepy as hell. So there have been reported sightings of this creature as early as the 1820s. Some say it has a horse's head, long claws, and bat-like wings, whereas others say it looks like a kangaroo with wings. In 1909, that's when this creature terrorized New Jersey. Tons of people were apparently seeing this creature. In fact, due to all the sightings, workers were advised to stay home and schools were closed. Just saying that if they thought that this creature was fake, none of that would have happened, so they were scared for a reason. Eventually, the hype around the Jersey Devil died down. That was until 1927. A taxi driver in Salem City was minding his own business when apparently he encountered this beast. The beast was then following the man and was pounding on the roof of his taxi. Hey, I don't know, maybe he just needed a lift. Then in the 1960s, residents were woken up in the middle of the night to strange screaming. They all knew that this was the cries from the Jersey Devil. And in 1980, the Jersey Devil struck again. Officers and forest rangers were called onto a scene at a farm where a bunch of pigs had been killed. Their bodies were all scratched and ripped open, the back of their heads were eaten, but there was no blood on the ground. There's no explanation for what could have done this to the pigs, besides the legendary Jersey Devil.
Coming in at 5, Wampus Cat. The Wampus Cat is a creature in American folklore and, according to legend, is a result of experimentation during World War II. Now, there are more than 22 million acres of forest in Alabama where you can find deadly and terrifying creatures. However, the one whispered about the most and discussed around campfires is the Wampus Cat. Early references by the American Dialect Society noted the Wampus Cat as, I quote, a creature heard whining about camps at night, and a mythical green-eyed cat having occult powers, or even an undefined imaginary animal. Now back to its creation. Allegedly, the US government tried to create a super animal by combining a mountain lion and a grey wolf through genetic splicing, with the goal of creating an incredibly fast and large creature to relay messages. However, things went wrong when a breeding pair escaped, and their descendants, known as the Wampus Cats, still haunt the area around Chihia Mountain in the Talladega National Forest. Folklorist Vance Randolph described the Wampus Cat as a kind of amphibious panther which leaps into the water and swims like a colossal mink. In Cherokee mythology, the monster is the cat-like embodiment of a female onlooker cursed by tribal elders as punishment for hiding beneath the pelt of a large wild cat to witness a sacred ceremony. The Wampus Cat is used as a mascot for numerous educational institutions. The Wampus Cat also has been referenced in pop culture numerous times, specifically by J.K. Rowling on her Pottermore site. In the story, History of Magic in North America, which lists the Wampus Cat as a source for hair used in magic wands. Pretty cool.
In our 4th spot today, we have the red-eyed roadside cryptid. This is the name given to a creature that a man named Britton saw one early morning in Texas. So it was June 20th, 2000 at around 1 a.m. He had just gotten off work and was headed home. Now on the route that he takes, he explained that there's this 90-degree turn and you have to go really slow and be careful because sometimes they find cattle out on the road. So he was making his turn when all of a sudden he saw it. And he knew right away it was not an animal of any sorts. This creature had red eyes and was on 2 feet and had black hair all over its body. So Britton, being the curious man that he was, got out of his truck and shined a flashlight at this creature. That's when the creature raised its arm above its head and let out an ear-piercing scream. It then turned around and ran behind a house. So the man immediately got back in his truck and drove away in disbelief of what he just saw. But according to him, he has heard the scream at night before, but he never knew where it was coming from or who or what was making this noise. After doing research, he found out that this creature he saw is related to the Bigfoot. Sounds like it's Bigfoot's noisy younger cousin. Either way, be careful when driving late at night.
Coming in at number 3, El Chupacabra. Also known as the Chupacabra or Chupacabras, this name translates to goat sucker from chupa to suck and cabra, goat. This is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas, with its first purported sighting in Puerto Rico. Now, the name itself comes from the animal's reported habit of attacking and drinking the blood of livestock, including goats. Now, the creature reportedly terrorizes the southwestern US, Puerto Rico, and Mexico, with accounts on the size and shape ranging drastically. Some reports state it is the size of a large bear with spines running down its back, while others report the animal is small and hairless. Reportedly, it can be found in a desert in North America covering over 200,000 miles. Now, eyewitnesses have also claimed sightings in Maine as well as Chile, with sightings even occurring in Russia and the Philippines. Essentially, no goat is safe. The first reported attack occurred in March 1995, 8 sheep being discovered dead, and each one of them with 3 puncture wounds in the chest area and reportedly drained of blood. I see a theme in this list. A few months later, in August, an eyewitness, Madeline Tolentino, reported seeing the creature in the Puerto Rican town of Canovanas, where as many as 150 farm animals and pets were reportedly killed. And in 1975, a similar incident occurred in the small town of Mocha, where it was initially believed the killings were committed by a satanic cult. However, later more killings were reported on the island, and many farms reported loss of animal life, forcing locals to believe that El Chupacabra was hunting their town. Reports and sightings have been noted up until last year, so what do you think? Are you a believer in the Chupacabra? I am. even though I can't say the name very well. Coming in at number 2, Honey Island Swamp Monster. In Louisiana folklore, the Honey Island Swamp Monster is a creature said to have been seen in Honey Island Swamp since 1963. It is described as bipedal, 7 feet tall, with grey hair and yellow or red eyes, and accompanied by a disgusting smell. The first claimed sighting was in 1963 by Harlan Ford, a retired air traffic controller who had taken up wildlife photography. After his death in 1980, a reel of Super 8 film was discovered which showed the creature. In 1974, the monster gained national fame after Ford and his friend Billy Mills claimed to have found unusual footprints in the area, as well as the body of a wild boar whose throat had been cut. Ford continued to hunt for the creature for the next 6 years following that. Now, in folklore, a legend tells of a train wreck in the area in the early 20th century. According to the legend, a travelling circus was on the train, and from it, a group of chimpanzees escaped and interbred with the local alligator population. 2 hunters emerged from the swamp in 1874 saying that they had. Creepy stuff indeed. And finally, coming in at number 1, Pukwudgie. A Pukwudgie is translated by Henry Schoolcraft as little wild man of the woods that vanishes. It is a creature often found in Delaware and Wampanoag folklore, sometimes said to be 4 to 5 feet tall. According to legend, Pukwudgie can appear and disappear at will, as well as lure people to their deaths, use magic, launch poison arrows, and create fire. Yeah, these dudes are not to be messed with. Now, some Native Americans believe that the Pukwudgie was once human, and presumably friends, but then turned against the Native Americans and are best left alone. According to lore, a person who pissed off a Pukwudgie would be subject to nasty tricks by it. Considering they are known to kidnap people, push them off cliffs, attack them with short knives and spears, I would just leave them alone. More interesting still, the Pukwudgie are actually mentioned in Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's epic poem, The Song of Hiawatha. I quote, "Far and wide among the nations spread the name and fame of Kwasind. No man dared to strive with Kwasing. But the mischievous Pukwudgie, they the envious little people, they the fairies and the pygmies, plotted and conspired against him." They have also been identified in the Harry Potter universe, with Rowling describing the creature as, I quote, "The Pukwudgie is also native to America, a short grey-faced, large-eared creature distinctly related to the European goblin. Fiercely independent, tricky, and not over fond of humankind. It possesses its own powerful magic. Pukwudgie hunt with deadly poisonous arrows and enjoy playing tricks on humans. Cool, but incredibly creepy."